Before we go to Minister Derrick Dalley, I'm sure he wants to talk about this. The National Post, that paper that doesn't get delivered here in Newfoundland and Labrador, has a story this morning that says these are the first steps towards creating a national power grid. Ontario in talks to buy power from Newfoundland. Minister Derrick Dalley, is the National Post telling us the truth this morning?
We hope so, Tim.
Or is it just coincidental that you're calling the same day that that story comes out? The Post says the two provincial energy ministers are going to announce today that you're launching a study for Ontario to buy power from Muskrat Falls.
Yes, Tim, I'm currently at the Energy and Mines Ministers meeting in Halifax, actually, and the report is out today. I guess the news is out today through the National Post, but there's also been a press release going out as well. I think it's released now, joint release between us and the Government of Ontario. Minister Shirley is here at the meetings as well, and we formally announced, I guess, that we are actively working together and looking at the opportunities for electricity trade in the future.
So what does that mean? Because, of course, there still is Quebec in the middle between Labrador and Ontario. What are you looking at, or what can you say about what you're intending to study?
Well, we want to take a look at it. I think first and foremost, Tim, I think what we're seeing here is some of the things that we've been talking about for a number of years. We've always recognized that, we're a energy warehouse where we're developing our energy resources. We have tremendous potential, and what we're seeing now is other parts of our country and the U.S. are certainly taking a keen interest in what we're doing, particularly around renewable energy, clean, green energy. There's pressure around climate change issues and so on, that all of these markets right now are starting to look for new opportunities, and they're looking to Newfoundland and Labrador, which I think is very positive, very encouraging for our future. Specifically with Ontario, we're going to undertake an assessment to take a look at economic feasibility, ratepayer value, system reliability benefits. We'll look at the contributions that some agreements can make to climate change objectives, look at the overall economic benefits. So essentially, we have surplus energy that we have available, whether it's through Muskrat Falls, whether it's through the development of Gull Island, and even in the long term out into 2041. As well, Ontario's recognized that they have some challenges. They want to address some of their greenhouse gas emission targets. They've got to consider whether they're going to invest heavily into nuclear power. They want to make some changes. They want to move towards more renewable energy. So it's a good fit for us and a good fit for them, so we're going to try and find a way to make that work.
Well, you mentioned Gull, and you know as well as I do, the critics will say, have always argued about Muskrat Falls, that this is going to be ruinous to the economy, we're over budget, it's not going to do what it should do, that Nalcor, the provincial government, have been reckless. Gull Island would be an even bigger development. How do you address the critics who will now come on and say, well, why would you even think about Gull when Muskrat's not done, and what financial exposure that would have to the provincial treasury?
Well, Tim, first off, I would disagree with the critics because I see this project as being a tremendous project. It's a legacy project. It's a 100-year project for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. It will take care of our energy needs, and at the same time, we have a tremendous resource that we can export and get value for the people of the province, and then that's the track that we're on. So I would disagree with the critics, but at the same time, I think a fair point to bring up the fact that we are, well into the Muskrat Falls project, and we're turning our attention to Gull. Well, not quite the case. As we have alluded to many times, there's been considerable amount of work done on the Gull Island project in tandem with the Muskrat Falls project. The new Dawn agreement itself with the Aboriginals ties in the Gull Island project as well. So there's been tremendous amount of work ongoing, but this discussion right now that we've agreed, the agreements we've got with Ontario to form these working groups, it's not just about Gull Island, that's longer term in the future for sure, but it's also about Muskrat Falls Power. But I think the other thing we need to understand here in developing energy resources, these things don't happen overnight. Take a long time, many years of work got to go into this. But I think what we're seeing here is a recognition that we've got a tremendous resource. There's a tremendous opportunity here. Let's start working together and see what we do. The other point I'd make, Tim, I guess with the difference with Muskrat Falls and Gull Island is that we developed Muskrat Falls first and foremost for the people of province. We have needs. We have energy needs in our province that we have to meet. We have to find a way to shut down Holyrood. We have to, ensure that we have the energy that we're going to be able to need well into the future. That was the first priority, and with the surplus power, we could export that power, particularly now through the Maritime Link. But with Gull Island will be strictly an export project. We won't need the power in Newfoundland and Labrador, but if it's the right thing to do and it's feasible and it makes sense and the markets are there, it's a tremendous resource that we can sell to across the country as well as into the U.S. and extract tremendous value for the people of province. And as we know, that value will come. It's a renewable resource, so as long as the river flows, we'll continue to make money for the people of the province.
I got to ask you this before you go back into your meeting. How do you deal with Quebec, though? I mean, there is no easy way other than going right across to get power from Newfoundland and Labrador to Ontario. That route goes through Quebec. It's not done by a cable unless some bizarre cable go up around. Anyway, that would be way too expensive. But how do you do that? And that's the first question. And the second question related to Quebec is, are things changing in Quebec a little bit? There's a new CEO of Hydro-Quebec. Premier Couillard seems to have a more open approach to regional energy development. How do you deal with Quebec to make this Ontario thing a reality?
Well, a couple of points, Tim. I think we all recognize as Newfoundlanders and Labradorians the mistakes and the history, I guess, behind the development of the Upper Churchill, and we have challenged that as our government has, and many previous governments have as well. And we'll continue to challenge what we feel was very unjust and wrong with respect to the development of the Upper Churchill and who extracts the most benefits. We're still there as a government, and I think the people of the province are solidly behind the history and I guess how we would like to get that rectified. But at the same time, while we reserve the right to challenge that, I think we also need to recognize that if we're going to move forward, we need to look to the future. We need to look to the new opportunities, whether it's for Newfoundland and Labrador, Quebec, Ontario, other markets. We need to find a way to win-win situations where we can develop our resources and ensure that the people of the province get the benefits. So that's one approach I think we need to take, is to continue to challenge as to what went on in the past, but certainly park that, work on that in isolation, but at the same time we need to look forward and look for new opportunities, and it's exactly what we're doing. Secondly, I think as we've seen with the work of the Premier last week with at the Canadian Energy Strategy, where we're starting to see the Canadian premiers recognize the importance of a national strategy, recognize the importance of clean, renewable energy, and I would agree with you. I think Premier Couillard is, the language is certainly softened. I think they recognize as well that there's tremendous opportunity here for everyone. So we're very encouraged by that. We'll continue to pursue that with Quebec, but without question, there's certainly challenges ahead, and we will need to work through some of the issues with Quebec. But it's, again, I think, as I said at the opening, I think some of the larger markets in Eastern Canada are starting to recognize that we have a tremendous resource in Newfoundland and Labrador. We've done a good job through NALCOR and government to be able to develop this resource, to be able to map out our energy plan. We're on a great track, and now others are starting to recognize the work that we're doing.
Very last question, I promise. Are you able to speak to the economic cost of a potential Gull Island and the economic value of Gull Island?
Too early stages. I think it's suffice to say, we're looking at around 2,250 megawatts of power. It's a sizable project, somewhere around 12 terawatts, and it'll be a considerable cost, certainly into the billions. But it's we feel, based on the work that's been done and the opportunities that are out there, that there's certainly a strong economic case to build this project. But again, it's a project that we built with partners and investment opportunities. But it certainly won't be on the ratepayers of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians for sure. But it will be a resource that we own. It's renewable. It'll last forever, and it's something that we feel we need to get value out of for the people of the province.
All right, well, thanks for sharing that with us today, Minister. We'll look to go through the press release, and I'm sure, as you anticipate, this will be a hot topic of conversation over the next few days.
Well, Tim, I think it's really exciting for the province. I mean, it's a lot of work ahead of us, but it's a recognition that we have some very valuable resources, and there's strong markets out there that want this renewable energy, and so it puts us in a good place to start some work that certainly lay out a great future for Newfoundland and Labrador for sure.
All right. Thanks, Derrick Dalley. Take care.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye.